Lea Turner, the CEO, the LinkedIn queen, the boss babe, asked me to speak in her private community, the HoLT, with over 400 members. This was only a couple of weeks ago. I jumped in, we did a 90-minute masterclass on how to send DMs without sounding like a little weirdo or pitch slapping everyone all the time. I wanted to take you guys behind the scenes and show you some of the highlights. The first thing I think that you need to be mindful of is not selling or pitching straight out the gate. Enter into these conversations that you're having, especially if you're the one sending the first message. You want to approach these first messages with the objective of helping or serving. And if you can do that, you automatically sort of detach yourself from the desperation, the emotional attachment you have to sending these messages. The next thing is to remember that these things happen in micro steps. There's someone watching today who's a client of mine who's in the HoLT and is in C2C. That didn't just happen overnight. It wasn't a, hi, do you want to buy my thing? Yeah, of course I do. Here's $5,000. The way that it happens is there are almost micro conversions within the journey, so small steps. And every message that you send, every interaction that you have with someone, every piece of content that someone sees of yours is a touch point with you or your touch point with them. And it allows you to either position yourself as someone worth listening to and interacting with or following or potentially buying from, or someone that's an absolute idiot and they just want to ignore, which ties in with the fifth commandment of the 90-day rule. So if you go out and send, let's say, 20 DMs today, as we've kind of covered, you're not going to get those instantaneous results, right? The results are going to trickle through between a 30 and 90 day period typically, and it's why it's so important to have like a long-term approach and not such a short-term mindset. The people you speak to today are the results or the clients that you're probably going to get in 90 days time. Next thing is volume and consistency. So it's all good sending 20 DMs today, but if you have 3 weeks off, you're not consistently filling up that pipeline. So you need the volume and you need to keep it consistent. Now, I'm not saying everyone go and send 100 messages every single day. Start with a number. I did a talk at an accounting show recently. I asked people to show their hands. I said, how many people reach out either via DM, email, or phone call every single day? And there's probably about 100 people watching and one person put their hand up. And these people all watch my talk because they want clients, but they're not actually putting in the basics, the basic actions that are going to get them there. And those things are volume and consistency, and obviously like good messages as well. Another thing I always recommend doing is actually acknowledging what people say to you rather than just trying to question them and skip on to the next part. You want to let that person feel seen, feel heard, feel important, not feel like they're just a number. A good way to continue the conversation and make them feel like you are actually interested in them is by ending on a question. So a lot of the message exchanges I have with people is I will end with a question because that just prompts a response. The final one is engagement. You may have someone that's ghosting you or whatever, and we'll cover this in a little bit, but if someone's just not responding to you, there are other ways that you can get them to interact with you. You know, you don't just have to focus on the DMs. You can go and engage with their content. Yeah, you can drop them a follow if you're not already following them. You could potentially go and visit their website and download something and they'll see you in their lead magnet list or whatever. DMs are not the only way that you can win clients, but I'll tell you what, about 70% of our clients require some form of touch in the DMs, okay? Some form of personalized interaction. Flipping that on its head, some of the biggest mistakes that I see people make are taking themselves too seriously, for one. A lot of us have probably come from or are still in a corporate environment, so we've been conditioned by that, and we're taught to be, make sure we've got the all the lines are all sent in one message and it's all very formal. We sign off with a thank you or best regards or whatever. You don't need to do that, okay? You can take the piss out of yourself and it works brilliantly because it's different to what other people are doing. Following up a million times and like just sending question marks. I've got a rule of 3, usually 2. If someone's not responded to me after messaging them 3 times on 3 separate occasions, bin them off. No point. They're not interested. You'll just make yourself look silly. Another thing I get quite a lot, someone will invite me to connect on LinkedIn. I'll say, hey, thanks for connecting, whatever. And they'll go, hey, do you want to download this 101 things you should know by the time you hit 40 to help you? And I'm just like, it's not even relevant to me. Sending random shit to people is just going to annoy them. Pushing for calls without context as well. You should always try and find, if you use a sales call to sell, rather than just offering it straight off the bat, hey, it'd be great if we could hop on a call. But like, yeah, it would be great. It'd be great if I had the fucking time. I haven't. Give me a reason. And the other thing, we kind of touched on this a little bit already, is the emotional attachment. Like, don't get pissed off when people don't reply. There are so many more people that you can go and message, so many more people that you can interact with. That person's dog might have just died or, something could have happened. believe it or not, the more messages you send, the less emotional attachment you will have to each one. So this is me back in 2013, working in a call center, 220 cold calls every single day, getting told to F off. We weren't allowed open drinks in our glasses. The toilet breaks were timed. And I was that embarrassed when I knew my mate was taking this picture, because I didn't even want to be associated with working for this company, that I turned around. But when you start to do things as much as that, you're making 1,000 cold calls a week, you start to work out these patterns. And I worked out a formula. I've broken it down into 5 steps. First and foremost, when I would go into the phone call with them, I would say something that would interrupt the pattern. I noticed what a lot of people around me were saying, and it was all the same shit. I'd do a pattern interrupt and say something different to everyone else. The best way to find leads on LinkedIn is using Sales Navigator. But most people are scared of it because they think it costs too much and it's complicated. Firstly, you can grab a 30-day free trial. Secondly, I've got a free training that I'm going to give to you that helps you locate every single one of those leads you want. And this works for every industry. I'll literally show you everything. So if you want it completely free before I take it down, then hit the link in the description. Without further ado, back to the vid. Then I'd start to introduce some credibility. Now you can do this a lot through your profile and your content, so it's a lot easier than cold calling, but I would talk about specifically who I'd helped in their space already. Drop any big names if I had any. Then I would talk about how we can help, potentially, but in a different way. Then I'd ask a question to get a response, and then I would try and call them to action. Now this was probably, I don't know, between 15 and 30 seconds, there or thereabouts. The whole aim of the game though when cold calling wasn't try and get a sale there and then, it was to try and get a meeting there and then. For every 20 calls I worked out, because this is just numbers, about 4 or 5 people will pick up. So think about that. There's 15 no answers and I will get 1 meeting set. So every day after doing this for a while and tracking my numbers, I worked out if I make 20 calls, I will set a meeting as a rule of thumb. And you'll be able to do the same with your messages as well. Business is just maths, but you have to put the numbers in to get the numbers out. This was my script. Someone would answer, "Hi, is that Dave? Dave, we've not spoken before, but I was hoping you might be able to help me, please." No one ever says no to that. So regardless of how senior this person is, they probably just go, "Well, who is it? Sorry, I should have said. I work for ABC Marketing. We do a load of work in the food and bev sector. We work with brands like Budweiser, Coca-Cola, Brewdog, yada, yada, yada." And I'd literally say it like that. So I've got a bit of credibility, because if I'm ringing someone from Pepsi and I start to say we work with brands like Coca-Cola, they'll be like, okay. After that, I talked about how we help them in a different way. So we help them collect audience data and use it to gamify the customer experience and also increase rate of sale, which is what I knew what these people wanted to hear. And then I'd kind of like almost apologize, like, sorry, I only wanted to ask, this is why I'm asking for help. Do you have any idea who I need to speak to get some of our work on your radar? It'd be great to show you some of the results of this campaign that I mentioned that we've done with Pepsi recently. And lo and behold, because I'd done my LinkedIn detective work, Dave was a decision maker. Or if not, he knew who it was. And then he'd go, oh, yeah, that's me. Oh, it's you, wicked. Okay. Well, I'm guessing you're pretty busy right now, but have you got some time on Friday for us to stick 20 minutes in the calendar? 50% of them say yes. There or thereabouts. We're doing something different. We've got credibility. We're then showing how we do things different as well. So the pattern interrupt and the differentiation are kind of different things. We're asking a very simple question that we already know the answer to, and then we're calling them to action, and it's a very small ask. I know you're busy right now. Appreciate you're busy. Is it all right if we just stick 15, 20 minutes, quick call on Friday? Can't do Friday. Oh, no worries. How's Tuesday? Yeah. And that will be my little formula. But how do we transition into the biz chat? Because that's why we're here. Yeah, we want to get this person talking about business somehow. So there are 2 ways you can do that: direct or indirect. So direct, asking directly about the thing that you help people with and just seeing what their response is. I frequently go the direct route, and I would just say, anyway, how's LinkedIn going? Getting many leads? And they'll either say yes or no, or hopefully more information than that. Another great way to do it though, if you're not at that confidence level just yet, is to go indirectly. So asking a question that you already know the answer to, that then allows you to connect the answer to your next question or to your next talking point, which will of course be business. You can either put in lots of effort and get little return, you can put in an equal amount of input and get an equal amount of output, or you can get outsized returns with minimum effort, if we look at the third diagram. Now, I don't know if anyone on here watching has ever heard of Naval Ravikant. He's an angel investor. He's got a book called The Almanac of Naval. But you build scale through leverage, building leverage, okay? And you can create leverage with money, with woman or manpower, with machines or code or ads or automation, and also with media. A lot of people will rush straight away to go and get a VA to help them, or to go and use Octopus CRM or whatever it is. Those people or those machines that you bring in are only as good as the systems that you've built. And that's why I've put self at the top, because it's very important for you first to be able to master, or at least be able to pay attention to and have a strong process in sending these DMs. You need to be able to do it and understand it first. Then when you do, you can build the systems that allow you to delegate or automate some of these tasks, which means ultimately you can scale. And this works for every area of your business. So it starts with you, then the system that you build to make it easy for someone else, and then someone else or the machine comes into play.